Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and begin what is basically a high-stakes psychological experiment to test your mind against the hidden rules of wealth. Today, we aren't just going to look at boring budgeting tips or tell you to stop buying your daily coffee. Forget that. Instead, we're unpacking a brilliant breakdown from Wealth Brain that forces us to examine the actual psychology of how money works. We're going to explore why your own human biology is structurally wired to keep you broke, how the global financial system actively exploits those natural instincts, and exactly what you need to do to beat this economic matrix.
Just start. I want you to imagine waking up tomorrow morning in a strange room, and this exact choice is broadcast over a loudspeaker. Option A, you walk out right now with $1 million in cash, free and clear. Or option B, you stay in the room for 30 days, starting with just a single penny that doubles in value every single day. If you're like 99% of people, your biological wiring instantly screams for the $1 million, right? I mean, it's life-changing, it's right there in front of you, and it feels completely safe. But if you picked the million, you actually just failed the very first test of wealth psychology. Because if you do the math on option B, that single, seemingly insignificant doubling penny actually turns into over $5.3 million by day 30. Crazy, right? This perfectly demonstrates how our immediate instincts constantly betray our long-term financial reality. Consider this agenda your survival map. To beat the economic matrix, we'll be conquering 6 phases: escaping the dopamine trap, surviving the silent tax, hunting for asymmetric risk, unlocking leverage time, anchors versus engines, and finally, building your exit strategy. So let's move right into level 1, escaping the dopamine trap, survival versus wealth.
To understand why it's so incredibly difficult to build wealth, we have to look at our evolutionary biology. You see, for 99% of human history, our ancestors lived in a world of extreme scarcity. If they found food or shelter, they had to consume it or hoard it immediately just to survive. So we evolved to prioritize immediate survival over long-term planning. And today, well, the modern consumer market completely weaponizes this biology. Every notification on your phone, every flashing advertisement, those super convenient single-click purchase buttons, they are all precisely engineered to trigger a hit of dopamine in exchange for your capital. When you get a paycheck, your primitive brain still feels that ancient anxiety, essentially screaming, "We have resources, spend them right now before they disappear."
And that leads to a massive divide in how different groups view capital. The middle class generally views money as a tool to acquire immediate dopamine. We're talking things like new clothes, better cars, and luxury experiences. But the wealthy, they've learned to hack their own biology. So the absolute crucial point here is that to win the game of wealth, you have to literally rewire your neurochemistry. You need to start deriving your dopamine from deploying capital into assets rather than just spending it. Because if you cannot win the war against your own neurochemistry, you simply cannot win this game.
Next up is level 2, surviving the silent tax, inflation and devaluation.
Imagine playing a video game where your health automatically drains every single hour, no matter what you do. To survive, you obviously have to regenerate health faster than it drains. Well, the middle class often falls for the illusion of fiat currency. They believe that keeping cash in a traditional bank account is safe just because the number on the screen stays the same. But look at this. If you leave your money in a savings account earning a measly 1% yield, while the real-world cost of living is rising by 7%, you are actively losing health. Keeping cash in a bank isn't actually safe. Your scoreboard is melting every single second. We have to remember that money is energy. It's not a fixed unit. When governments print massive amounts of currency, the value of each individual unit you hold dilutes. You just cannot win a game where the rules are designed to melt your score. You have to recognize that the financial system actively punishes those who hoard depreciating cash, and it heavily rewards those who understand how to use debt to acquire assets that appreciate over time. Moving on to level 3, hunting for asymmetric risk, the casino analogy. Okay, to survive that constant drain we just talked about, we need to equip you with the right weapons. Most people look at investing or entrepreneurship and immediately think, oh, that's way too risky. I want security. But their definition of security is totally flawed. Think of the economy like a massive casino. If you play the roulette wheel, that is a symmetric risk. You're risking your money in a system where the math explicitly dictates the house will eventually win. The middle class tries to avoid risk entirely, but the wealthy simply avoid symmetric risks. Instead, they actively hunt for asymmetric risk profiles. This is a brilliant setup where your absolute maximum downside is firmly capped, but your potential upside, it's practically infinite. A perfect example of this wealthy strategy is starting a digital side hustle or building a content platform. What's your maximum downside? Maybe a few $100 and some of your free time. That's really it.
But your upside? A global business that can generate massive passive revenue. Now compare that to the standard middle-class strategy, which is quite literally risking your entire life's time for a fixed, heavily capped salary. To win, you absolutely must stop taking asymmetric risks and start hunting for asymmetry.
That brings us to level 4, unlocking leveraged time, the math of limitation. Now pay attention because this is the hardest difficulty setting of the entire game. If you are trading your direct physical hours for currency, you have a hard, unbreakable mathematical ceiling. Step 1 is simply acknowledging there are only 168 hours in a week. Even if you work 100 hours at a massive hourly rate, you cannot physically scale past your own body. It's impossible. So step 2 is to stop trading those direct hours. Step 3 is using capital to buy the productive hours of other people. And finally, step 4 is completely decoupling your income from your own personal clock. The ultra-wealthy solve the time problem by shifting from linear time to leverage time. Instead of performing a task themselves, they design a system that performs the task automatically, or they use capital to hire the labor of others. Think about it. If you design a system where 10 people work 40 hours a week, you instantly unlock 400 hours of weekly productivity, while still only having 24 hours in your own day. It's a real game changer. Until you learn how to buy other people's time, your time will always belong to someone else. All right, level 5, anchors versus engines, the asset audit. To advance through this game, you have to conduct a brutally honest audit of your life through a cold, calculated financial lens. You need to look at absolutely everything you own and ask, is this an anchor pulling me down or an engine pushing me forward? The middle class tends to populate their lives with anchors disguised as trophies. That expensive car note, that's an anchor. That premium streaming subscription you zone out to for 4 hours every night, that is a massive anchor dragging down your single most valuable asset, your focus. The wealthy, however, buy engines. They buy fractional shares of businesses, cash-flowing properties, and high-level education. Every single engine you buy adds serious speed to your financial momentum. And finally, we've reached the ultimate goal and the final boss of our explainer. Level 6, building your exit strategy, breaking the matrix. Listen, you cannot win a game if you plan on playing it forever. Your ultimate goal is to hit a metric called velocity escape capacity. Sounds cool, right? This is the exact mathematical point where the passive cash flow generated by your engines completely eclipses your monthly cost of living. For instance, when your automated digital channels or index funds consistently generate, say, $5,000 a month, and your actual lifestyle only costs $4,000 a month, boom, you have successfully broken the matrix. Your participation in the labor market is now entirely voluntary. But to actually get there, you need the master mindset. Anyone can be disciplined for a week or maybe a month, but the system is designed to wear you down over years. It relies heavily on your exhaustion and your deep human need for social validation to pull you right back into the trap. You literally have to fall in love with the process of building, rather than the shiny objects money can buy. Stop looking at wealth as a status symbol to show off to your neighbors and start viewing it as a score in a highly complex game of mental mastery. At the exact moment you hit velocity escape capacity, the power dynamic of your entire life flips. You no longer work because a boss commands it or because a stack of bills requires it. You work because you choose to build. That absolute freedom, that total sovereignty is what true wealth actually represents. The Millionaire Survival Game is running every single day, whether you choose to acknowledge it or not. Every financial decision you make is either a move toward freedom or a step deeper into the trap. So I'm going to leave you with this final challenge. Pull up your bank statement from the last 90 days. Be brutally, completely honest with yourself. Are your daily decisions buying anchors or are they building engines? Take a really hard look at your score and ask yourself, are you finally ready to rewrite your financial destiny?